In this video, we'll be seeing how to create a login and registration form in Laravel. So you'll be able to add as much as fields as you want in the registration part. And you can see if you try to submit it without any values, it will show an error message. So we are also showing the error messages properly. So we are not concentrating on the UI design. So we'll be seeing the actual implementation of the Laravel code. Okay. So this will be completely secure because we are using Laravel. And we'll be also seeing the login part. So you can see it is also showing the error messages. And let's try logging in. So you can see I have created a user earlier, and let's try logging this user and submit it. Now you can see the user is logged in, and on the top you can see home and logout and also the name of the user. I will zoom in. Okay, you can see this, right? Okay, and we are having a logout button. If you click logout, it will get logout and it will redirect to the login page. Okay, now that's all. If you try to insert wrong details and submit it, you can see login details are not valid. So we are also handling the errors. We are not concentrating on the UI, but we are implementing the program properly. Okay, so we'll be seeing this in this video. So let's get to the implementation part. First of all, we have to create a folder and open it inside an editor. So you can see I have opened a folder inside PHP Storm. You can use any other editors like VS Code or anything. So I'm using PHP Storm. Then we have to install Laravel to our system. For that, you can go to this laravel.com website and click Get Started. And here on the installation, you can scroll down and you can see Composer Create Project Laravel/Laravel followed by the project name. Now this will create the project directly without installing the Laravel installer. And the second option is Composer Global Require Laravel/installer. Now this will install Laravel installer to your system. So you can use a command Laravel new to create new projects. Okay. I already have created a video on how to install Laravel installer and all other required components like Composer, SAMP, etc. So you can check this video. I will give the link for this video on the description. You can check that out. You can see we are installing SAMP, VS Code and Composer. So I will give the link for this on the description and also on the I button. You can check that out. Okay, now we have to create a new project. You can either run this command. To run this command, you need just Composer installed, or you can install the Laravel installer. I already have Laravel installer installed. So let's run this command. Okay. Now we have opened the IDE. Now here we have to open the terminal. So I'm opening the terminal. If you are using VS Code, you simply have to open the terminal from the menu options and you have to follow up what I'm going to do here. Okay. Now to create a new project, you have to type Laravel new followed by the project name. You have to remember that I already have Laravel installer installed. That's why I'm able to use this command. Okay. Otherwise, you will get an error message. So you have to install Laravel installer first. Okay. I already have a video explaining this properly. So you can check that out. Now we can run this command. So here you can see Laravel has created the project. So if you go to the folder on the top, let's minimize the terminal first. So if you click here, you can see a new folder and it's having the name of our application. Then we are having many other folders. Okay, so I will explain them. So this is our project. So in order to move to our project, we have to use CD. CD means change directory, followed by our folder name, that is custom_login. Now you can hit enter and you can see the directory has been changed on the terminal. You can see this, right? Okay. Now you can run this project and check how it looks. For that, you have to type php artisan serve. So we have opened the server on this. So you can click this link and it will open the project. Now this is the default way how Laravel project looks when you create it. So we'll be seeing how to customize this, and we'll be adding the login registration. So we'll be doing the custom login and registration. Okay. So for that, you can minimize this, and let's introduce you to the folders. Here you can see a folder app. Inside that we are having our HTTP and the controllers, and you can see the models here. We'll be seeing how to implement the database using the migrations. Okay. We'll be seeing how to edit the table and run the migration also. And we'll be checking the public folder and what it does. So we'll be adding all our assets like the CSS file, JavaScript, images, which can be accessed by all the users directly without any restriction, can be added to the public folder. And we'll be seeing the resources and views. Inside this, we'll be adding our HTML and all those designing parts. And we'll be seeing the routes. Inside that, we'll be checking the web.php. Here, we'll be specifying the routes that our application listens to. Okay. So let's start creating. So first of all, we have to create a new view. Okay. I will open all the folders once more. Let's minimize all the folders. Okay. I have minimized all the folders. So first of all, we have to go to the resources and views. Now here we have to create files for login and registration. Okay. So let's create one for login. So here you can see I have named the file like login.blade.php. Hope you understand the basics of Laravel. So here in the view section, we'll be naming it on blade.php. It is blade templating, which is a feature provided by Laravel. Okay. You can learn more about Laravel just by Googling it, or you can check the documentation. They have a detailed documentation. I will also be creating a complete course on Laravel. So for now, we'll be sticking to the login and registration part. So let's create a file login.blade.php. Okay, now we are having our file. Let's do one for registration. Now we have to create a file for layouts. Okay, I will explain that. Inside this layouts, we'll be adding Bootstrap. Okay, we'll be using Bootstrap to design our UI. So for that, you have to go to getbootstrap.com. You can simply search Bootstrap on Google and get to this website. I will give the link for all this on the description. You can check that. So you have to open this website and go to the docs section. So in the documentation, you can see quick start. Scroll down and you can see a starter template here. So you can simply copy this much and you can paste that here. So here we can see we have added Bootstrap to our project. So let's remove the unwanted things like this. Okay, now you can see this is the CSS part of the Bootstrap and this is the JavaScript part. Okay, so you can remove this hello world from here and let's change the title. We'll be using the layout file as a layout for all these pages. Okay, I will explain that when we do that. So we'll be providing the title from the registration page or from the login page or even from the home page that we'll be creating later on. So we'll be passing the title from these pages to this page. So in Laravel, we have something like @yield. And here we can give a name. Okay. So here we are receiving title. Okay. So you can give title. Now this means that we have to pass the title from the page in which we are using this layout. Okay. So I will show how we are going to use this. So if we don't specify the title on the other pages, the title will be blank. If you want to pass a default title, if this title was not given on other pages, you can simply give a comma here and pass another parameter, and you can give the title like this. Okay. So hope you understand. Now inside this body, we need to access the content. Okay. Here you can see we are accessing the content. Okay, so here you don't have to specify the name like content or anything. You can simply use something like body or something. Okay, just have to make sure that you are using the exact name when you pass the value. I will show how we pass the value. Okay, I will show you how to extend this on another page. So here you can see we are having a simple layout in Blade. Now let's go to login.blade.php and let's extend this layout. Okay, now you can see we are extending the layout file here. So you can see I haven't used the .blade.php extension here because Blade will automatically render that and all. So you don't have to worry about that. So you just have to give the name of the file. If you are having any folder, like if you are keeping this inside some folder, you will have to specify the folder. Like this is a folder, instead of giving a slash, we'll be giving dot. Okay, then you can give the name of the file. Okay, we don't have this folder, so let's remove this. Okay, now we have extended the layout file to the login. So now we will see how to pass the title. So here we are asking for title. Okay, now what happens, let's try running this and check. For running this, we have to add a route. Okay, so go to the routes and go to web.php. Now here we can see one route and it is pointing to a view welcome. If you check the welcome, it is having some template that is designed by Laravel. So let's close that and let's create a new route. And in this route, we are receiving get requests. Okay, so these are the basics of Laravel. So hope you understand the basics of Laravel. So let's give login. So our route will be /login. And for now, let's pass a function, callback function. And inside that, let's return a view. And the view is login. And let's close this here. Okay, now this means that we are returning a view. That means this views folder. And inside that, we can see I am using login. That means this login.blade.php. That's all. If I am passing registration, that means I'll be returning a view that is registration.blade.php. Okay, so that's all. Let's go to the route and here we are returning this. Now we are having this route. So let's copy this route /login and let's open the terminal. Okay, we are having the server running already. If you want to run it again, simply type php artisan serve. Okay, now click this link and you can give /login here. Hit enter. Okay, now you can see this page has opened. You can see the title on the top. If you check on the top section, you can see custom auth Laravel. So this means that our layout is working. If you go to the view source section, you can see the source that we have added on the layout section is there. Okay, you can see the templates from Bootstrap and all. Okay, so let's go to the login. Now we have given the route for login. Let's design our login.blade.php. I will not be explaining it much more because the video will get lengthier. Here I will stick on to the login and registration part inside Laravel. I will later on create a complete course explaining everything in Laravel. So let's design the login form. For that you can open section and we are passing a content. Okay, so our section name that we have given on the layout.blade.php is content. Okay, we are using yield content. So here we have to give section content. Okay, and we have to end the section like at end section. Okay, that's all. Now inside this you can give the content, that is the login form. Now we have to pass the title also. In order to pass the title, you can start section title. And since we are passing a title, we'll be only having a short line. So you can give comma and pass the title login. Okay, let's give the title login. Okay, Now if you go and refresh the page, you can see the title will change from this to custom auth Laravel to login. So let's go and refresh that page. Okay, I have refreshed the page and you can see login here. So now we have given the title. Now let's design the login form. So for that, you can go to Bootstrap, and inside the Bootstrap documentation, you can go to forms. On the side, you can see forms, and you can select the overview. You can see a form here. So this will suit our use. So let's copy this from here, and you can paste it here. Before pasting, you have to give a container div. Let's open a div and give a class container. Now inside this, you can paste the form here. Okay, now let's minimize the terminal. And here you can see we are having the login form. If you go and refresh the page, you can see the login form there. Let's give a width for the login form. So let's give a width like style and width. Let's give it like 500 pixel. Okay, now we can go to the login form and refresh the page. Okay, here you can see the login form is appearing. You can see the login form is not well arranged and all. So let's add a navigation bar on the top. For that, you can go to the Bootstrap itself. So on the side, you can see nav bar. Okay, see nav bar. So click that, and you can copy one nav bar that you likes to. So let's scroll down, and I think we can select this one. Okay, so let's copy this, and we can paste the nav bar inside a header. Okay, we have to create a header.php. For that, let's create a folder include for that, and inside that we can create a file header.play.php, and let's paste the, okay, I have made a mistake on the name. Let's rename this file. You can go to the refactor and rename. Okay, let's make it header. Okay, now inside this you can paste the navbar. Okay, now we have to include this file to the layout. So come to the layout, and inside the body you have to add include, and then you have to specify the file name. So this is inside a folder that is include. So let's type include. You can see the suggestions. Dot. Okay, you have to use dot instead of slash. Okay, and you can see the file name header. Okay, that's all. Now this is added to the project. And let's see and refresh the page. So here you can see the navbar is present properly. Okay, now we are having the login form and navbar. Let's make this form to align on the center. So for that, you can go to login.play.php and come to this form and create a class. Since we are using Bootstrap, you can use margin start, that is MS, and you can use auto, and you can use margin end auto. Okay, now let's refresh the page. So you can see it is aligned to center. You can also give a margin on the top. Okay, empty auto. Okay, that's all. Okay, now we have given the form. So let's create a form for the registration part as well. So let's copy this much and go to registration.play.php and paste it here. Now we can see the title. We can change it to registration. Okay, now we have given the title. Now we need name, email, and password for registration, right? We may not be needing anything else. If you need anything else, you can add it. Okay, so I'll be using name, email, and password. Okay, so for that, you can copy this much and you can paste it here, and let's change this to name. And this part, you can either change the ID or you can simply remove it for now. Okay, let's remove it. Okay, let's remove this ID because we will not be using this ID. So you can remove it. Okay, now you can change this from here, remove that. Okay, here you can remove this also. Okay, so here we have to give the name for the input tag. Since we are receiving a full name, we can give something like full name or name. Okay, so this name depends on the table, so you have to create a table. We will get to that later on. Okay, so let's give the name, that is name. Okay, and you can remove all these things from here. Okay, let's remove this and all. And here you can give the name email. Okay, and same for the password. You can remove the ID. And we can remove this check to remember this thing, because we will not be implementing this right now. So you can remove this. And yes, you can give the name for the password. Okay, we have given the name for the password. Okay, so our registration form is ready. Okay, so now we have to go to the login and do the same. Let's copy it from here because we have already done the part here. So let's change the title to login. Okay, now we don't need the full name, so remove that. Okay, done. That's all. So let's add the route for registration. Go to web.php inside the routes, and you have to add the route for registration as well. So simply go here, paste it, and you have to change this to registration. Okay, that's all. Now you have to change the view also. Inside the view, we are having registration.blade.php. Okay, so let's give the view name, that is registration. So we are returning registration. Okay, so let's go to the web page and try accessing the registration route. So we are inside login right now. So let's change login to registration and hit enter. Okay, you can see the registration form has opened. So we are having full name, email, and password. So let's try implementing it. So now we are having a registration form and login form ready. Let's go to database folder, and inside that you can see migrations, and open that. You can see the table migration for table users. Okay, so this is the table name users. So this is one migration that Laravel creates by default. So either you can change it or you can create a new, or that doesn't matter. So we are going to stick to this because we need a user. And for the user table, we need ID, name, email. You can also add email, verify that. That doesn't matter because we will not be implementing the verification part in this video, because on the later videos, I will show you how to do that. Okay, you can add that as well. Don't need to change that. And we need a password. And you need to add remember tokens, because if you want to implement that, you can implement that later on. We will not be seeing how to do that right now. Okay, and we need timestamps. Inside this timestamp, we'll be having, if you want to open this, you have to click Control and click on the mouse here. Okay, so you can see we are created at, which is a timestamp, and updated at, which is also another timestamp. So this stores the times where we create the row, so update the row, etc. That's all. So let's run this migration. Okay, so we only need this. We don't have to change this migration. So if you don't understand the migration part of Laravel, you have to check a video. I haven't done any course on that right now. I will be doing it later on. So you can check that out. That's all. It's very simple. This is the way you create a table. And this is one, you have to, this line you have to add it because it drops the table if it already exists. That's all. Okay, so let's try to migrate this table. So for that, you have to go to .env file. Okay, you can see this here. And here you can see the database connection. Okay, DB connection, and we are using MySQL. So let's create a database. Okay, so let's name the database custom login itself. So for that, you have to open SAMP. Now I have opened the SAMP. I have installed SAMP, and let's start the Apache and MySQL, and you can go to the admin part of MySQL. Now this will open the PHP MyAdmin. Okay, now we have to create a new database. Click on the new, and you have to give the name of the database here. So we are going to name it custom login. Okay, this is the name of our database. Okay, so click create, and that's all. We don't have to do anything else on the PHP MyAdmin panel. Okay, now you can go back to the PHP Storm. If you're using VS Code, you simply have to go back to your VS Code and open the terminal, just like I do in the PHP Storm. You can also open the terminal inside the VS Code. Okay, so open the terminal, and you can see I'm going to open a new terminal. Inside VS Code also we are having the same option, a little bit different UI, that's all. You have to keep this running. You should not stop this because we need the server running in order to access the project. So let's create a new terminal. I have opened the new terminal, and we have to run the migrations. You can see the username and password. You have to remember this. Okay, by default SAMP is having a username, root, and password that is empty. Okay, that's why I'm not changing this. If you have a different username and password, you have to change the username and password. So you have to make sure the credentials here are correct. Okay, now let's do the migration. So we are going to create these tables. Okay, these tables will be created. You don't have to worry about these two. You can check that later on when you learn about Laravel in detail, or if you already know Laravel, you will be understanding what this is. Okay, so let's run the migration. For that, you have to use the command php artisan migrate. Okay, you can see that an error has came. You can see cannot open the file artisan. That's because we are not inside the project folder. We are inside this folder, and we are having one more folder that is custom login, and inside that we are having the file artisan. Okay, so you have to change the directory. So cd custom login, hit enter. You can see we are on the custom login folder. Now you can run the php artisan migrate. Okay, now you can see the migration is complete. So let's go to the PHP MyAdmin and check the tables. Let's refresh this page. This is our new database, that is custom login. Let's refresh it. Okay, you can see new tables has been created. We will only be checking the user table. You can check all other tables later on. These are some things that Laravel use for. This is for password reset and all. So we'll not be checking that right now. So let's go to the users table. Okay, and go to the structure. So we need name, email, and password while registering. Okay, the ID is auto increment and it is a primary key, and email is unique. Okay, unique, that means we cannot insert similar emails. That's all. So let's go to the PHP Storm. Let's minimize the terminal, and you can close the env file. We can come back to this later, and you can close the migration files as well. Okay, now go to resources, views, and we are having the login and registration forms. Now we have to create a controller for managing the login and registration. So for that, we can create one controller. Let's name it auth manager. So open the terminal once more, and you have to use the command php artisan make controller space. You have to give the name of the controller. Okay, now this is the command, and you can hit enter. Now you can see it says the control has been created on this folder. So let's go to that folder, minimize the terminal, and inside the app http you can see controllers. Okay, here you can see one new file has been created, that is authmanager.php. Open this. You can see it extends controller. Okay, so here we have to create our function for login and registration. So first of all, let's do the part where we want to show the login form and the registration form. For that function, let's name it login itself. Login. Here we'll be returning a view, that is, we'll be simply changing this from here to this controller. Okay, since this is not an ideal way to code, so we have to change it from here to our controller. That's all. This is what we are going to do right now. Okay, create a function for registration. Same, we are going to change the view, returning of the view from here to here. Okay, now we have to call these functions, right? Because right now these functions are not linked to anything, we just created them. Okay, so in order to call these functions, you have to go to web.php, that is inside the routes. Inside routes you can see web.php, and you can remove this function, okay, till here. Okay, this much. Okay, then you can call the controller, that is auth manager, inside an array. Okay, auth manager, and you have to call it like this. Okay, and here you can see it is accessing it from here. You can come to here and click here and type alt enter. Okay, this is an shortcut inside PHP Storm. You simply can remove it from here, and you can add this, like use auth manager. Okay, you can see the suggestion. Okay, you have to simply add it like this. If you are using PHP Storm, you can simply type alt enter and that will go to there. So it is actually easy to use PHP Storm. I don't know how the suggestions work inside VS Code. Okay, now that's all. You have to add this because here we are accessing this auth manager. So you have to add this line. Okay, and you can call the auth manager like this. Okay, that's all, very simple. And our array, inside our array we have to pass the function as well. This is our class, and here we are going to pass the function name. So for login we are having the function name, that is login. Okay, now let's copy it from here and let's paste it here. Okay, now you have to close this. Okay, and change the function name to registration. Okay, now you can give the name for all this route. Okay, you can give a name for the route, that is like this, name. So for login we are going to give a name login, that's all. And same for the registration. Okay, so now you can call these routes using these names. If you are having a different name, you can simply call by that name. We are using login and registration itself in order to avoid any complications. So we might not forget about that. Okay, so we are having these routes ready. Okay, now we have to create a post route for the login, because here we are only having a get request running, and that's on the /login. So we need to create a post request which will actually do the login part. Okay, this one simply displays the login form. We haven't done anything that relates to the database and all. So in order to handle that, we have to create a post request to the login. Okay, here you can see we have created route to the same route, that is, but we are having a post request. Okay, so you can see these two are actually different. Okay, don't get confused. I hope you understand the basics of Laravel. So you have to call a different function here. Okay, and you have to give a different name also. Let's give a name dot post. Okay, now let's give a function name like login post. Now we have to create this function. Go to the auth manager and come down here, create the function. Now inside this function we'll be receiving a request which contains all the data that is passed from the form. So for that you can give a request. You have to make sure that this request is from the Illuminate HTTP request. Okay, this is very important, otherwise it will show error. Space, you have to give variable. That's all. Now you can access all the data that is passed from the login form to this variable. For that you have to add a action for the form. Okay, so let's add an action, and here we have to specify the route. So in order to specify the route, you can simply do it like this and give the route. And here you can give the name of the route. So here we are having the name, that is login. So for this, we are giving the name here. Okay. In order to access the routes like this, we are giving the name. Okay. Hope you understand that also. Now we have to specify the method, and the method is post. So we are making a post request which passes the email and password. Okay. To this route. Okay. To this route. That is the post route, and it will call this function. So here we'll be getting all the data that is passed from this form, that is email, name email, and password, that is the name password. Okay. So you can access these password and email like $request of password, and this will give you the password that you entered here. Okay. That's all. Let's do the login part. So first of all, we have to validate this request. So for that, $request variable, and we have to validate. Call the function validate. Okay, not this one. And here we have to check for email. We are receiving email. Give it required. So this means that we are having an email, and if this is not present, we will return an error message. Okay. Now we can do the same for password. You have to give a comma here. Okay, you can give a semicolon at the end also. Now change this to password. If you don't know what these names are, you can see in this login form, we are giving name, right? You have to use this same name here. Okay, hope you understand that. Okay, now we are checking if the values are present. In this line, we will return an error message automatically. Laravel will return an error message saying that email ID is required, etc. So you don't have to worry about that. So this will check if the email and password is present. Okay. If this is not present, it will return an error message. So now we have to do the login part. For that, let's create a variable. Credentials equal to $request of only. So inside this function, you have to pass email, comma, password. Okay, that's all. Now you can hit enter, and we have to try to log in. For that, we are having a class. So inside if, we can call the class that is auth, auth. And you have to make sure that this is inside the Illuminate support and factory. Okay. So auth colon, you have to call the attempt function. Okay. Now inside this, you can pass the variable that is $credentials. Now this will do the login automatically. You don't have to worry about anything. So you can open this if condition. Now this will return true if the login is successful. So if this is true, we have to log in the user to home page, and we can also show a message that is login successful or anything like that. So for that, return, and we have to redirect the user. So for that, redirect. Okay. Now intended. Inside that, we have to give the route to which the user should be redirected to. So right now I haven't created any route. So let's give a semicolon and go and create the route first. So go to the web.php route section, and we have to give the name for this route. Okay. I'm going to change this later on. So let's give a name here. Name home. Let's give a name home. Okay. And you can use that name here inside this. Okay. So for that route, you can have to use route, call the function route. Inside that, give the name that is home. Okay. And if this is false, you can return some error message. So let's return an error message. For that, turn redirect. And if this is error, we have to redirect the user to login page, right? So route. So we are redirecting the user to login, and we have to pass an error message also. So give something like this, and you have to give the function that is with. And here we have to pass a key, and let's give the key like error. Okay. So you can decide the name, but you have to make sure that you use it properly. Okay, I'm using error, and you can pass the error message. Now this is the key. This is the key, and the second one is message. Okay. So let's give something like login details are not valid or something. Okay. So give an error message that's used for you. Now that's it. Now you can also give a success message here, but we can avoid it. If you want to give a success message, you can simply copy this from here and you can give it here. And instead of error, you can use something like success. Okay, that's all. And you have to print this message by yourself. Since we are not going to do that, you can remove that, because we are not going to show the success message on the home page, because we will only redirect the user to home page if the login is successful. So there's not needed to show the user a success message and all. So let's remove that. Okay, now this is our login part and it is completely done. Okay, this is 100% secure and you can trust Laravel for that. Now we can get to the registration part. For that, we have to do the same, that is create a post request for the registration. So you can copy this line, and you can paste it here. Change the route from login to registration, and same, you have to change this to registration post. This is the function name. Okay, don't forget that. We are simply copy pasting because we have to do it faster in order to make the video smaller as possible. Okay, and you can give the name here, that is registration.post. Okay, this is the name of the route. Okay, you can access this route using this name. Okay, you can give any name, but you have to remember that. That's all. Now you can go to the registration blade, that is the blade.php part for the registration, and you have to do the same things that we have done in the login form. You can copy this much from here. Okay, and you can use it here. Okay, now you have to change the route here. So our route will be registration.post, I think. Okay, the name of the route is registration.post. Okay, let's copy it from here, name from here, and go to the name here. You have to change it to here. Okay, so this will print the route, that is the post route, that is this one. Okay, you can check by viewing the source code after running, so you can see the route and all, and you will understand what it means. Okay, now this route will only execute the post. Okay, so we have done the post part. Now I remember that inside the login we are accessing the route, that is this one. Okay, and this one is for displaying the form. That's all. This is a get request. We have to use a post request. So this is the name. So you have to make sure that you didn't get mixed and do it wrongly. You have to give the name. Okay, login.post. Okay, be sure that you give the name of the route properly. Okay, now for running each form, Laravel have a security feature, that is you have to add a token. Okay, Laravel verifies this token, so this avoids requests from another sites. Okay, so this will validate that the request will be made from your own website. So in order to add that security feature, you simply have to add at CSRF. That's all. Now when you run this, you can see this line will be changed into an input tag, that is token, and it will also have a value, that is the token value. Okay, and Laravel will do the verification of that token. You don't have to worry about that. Simply add this, that's all. If you don't add this, you will not be able to execute this form. So remember to add this. Okay, you have to add that on the registration also. Okay, now let's do the registration part. In the registration part, we are having the name, email, and password. You have to make sure that the names that you use are proper. Okay, because we will be inserting it directly using these names. I will show you. You can go to the auth manager and let's create a function. Okay, so you can go to the web.php route and you can see we are calling the function that is registration post. Okay, and we are not having that function, so let's create that function registration post. And yes, we are receiving the request. So for that, request dollar request. Okay, let's open the function. Now you can do the registration part. So first of all, we have to validate the request. You can copy the validation part from here and paste it here. And you have to remember that we are having one more field, that is the name. So simply add name on the top. That's all. You can also add more verification to the email tag. Like you can add, this is an or symbol, email. Now this will check if the email is an email. Like it will check whether it is having an @.com, .in, etc. Some steps like that. Okay. And you can give another condition, that is unique user. That means the email should be unique for each user. So unique users. So that's all. So now our verification part is done, and you can go down and you have to create the row, insert the row to the table. For that, let's create a variable $data and let's access name. So we are going to assign the name from the request, $request. You can access the name like request and you have to give the arrow, then name. Okay, now this will access the name from the request, and okay, you have to assign it. You have to give an equal to sign. Okay, this will assign the name from the request variable to this variable. That's all. Okay, now we can do the same for email and password. Okay, so you have assigned the values. Now you can create the row, that is insert the user. Like you have to receive the data like user equal to user. This is the model, that is this model. This is already created here. Okay, we haven't created this model, but this is already created. Okay, so sometimes this will not work. Okay, it will show some error like the table name doesn't match, etc. So if you face some error like that, you have to come here and add a variable, that is tables. Okay, protected table. Okay, protected table equal to, and you have to give the exact name of the table. So our name is like users. So this is a model that can do all the database queries and all the interactions to the database for the table users. Okay, that's all. A model simply does all the queries and all the interactions with the database, and it is already done and kept, and we don't have to write the function again and again. You can simply call the function and that's it. So it makes our work easy and fast. So you can specify the table name like this, okay, in order to avoid any error that could happen. Okay, and that's it. And user, you can call the function that is create. Now you might not get any suggestion because some of the functions on Laravel will not get much suggestions. Okay, and inside this you have to pass the variable, that is data. Now here we are going to pass an array. Okay, so let's pass data. Now this will create the user. That's all. You simply have to pass the values like this. Now we have to encrypt the password, so don't forget to do that. So for that you have to use class hash, HASH, and you have to make sure that it is from the Illuminate support and fabrics. And inside that you have to access the function make. Okay. Okay, now you can see this is in yellow. That means we haven't added the top line, this one. Okay, use this line. You have to add that. So inside the PHP Storm, you can simply click here and type Alt Enter, and you can click import class, and it will automatically add the line. Okay, you can see the line. If you don't have this feature, you can simply type this line. Okay, just make sure that you are using this hash function inside the Illuminate support factories and the class name. Okay, so you must make sure this is exactly the correct. Okay, now here we have encrypted the password and we have created the user. That is, we have inserted the user to the table. Now you can check if the creation of user is successful or not and show an error message or redirect the user to the home page. For that, you can type if not $user. That means if there is no user, you will be executing this statement, that is return, and we are going to redirect the user to the registration page with an error message. Okay, so for that let's copy the error from here. Okay, since we don't have to type it again. So this is the same statement, so we have copied it from there and pasted here, and we have to redirect the user to registration, not login. So change the route name to registration. Hope you understand the concept of this name. You have to check the name that you have given here. Okay, if you understand that part. Okay, now here we are passing with error. This is the key name and this is the message. So let's change the message to something like registration failed, try again, something like that. Okay. Okay, now we have given the error message also. So after the if condition, you can redirect the user to login page. So we have done the registration here. Now after successful registration, we'll be redirecting the user to login. So they can log in and access the app. Okay. So for that, return. So that also you can copy the line from here because we are going to redirect the user itself. So and paste it here. And yes, we are going to redirect the user to login, and that is correct. And you have to pass a success message, not an error message. So let's change the key name to success. And you can set a success message like registration successful and with a message for logging in. So let's try something like it. Okay, so I have set the success message like this. Now, if the user is not created and something happens with the registration, it will show an error message inside the registration itself. Okay, we will not go to the login. It will show the error message inside the registration page itself. And if the registration is successful, we will redirect the user to login and show a success message. Okay, now we have done with the registration part as well. So that's all with the registration part. We can also do the logout part as well. That is very simple. We can create a function logout. And inside this function, you simply have to clean the session and call a function inside the auth, that is logout. So I will show you. After this, you have to call auth logout. That's all. And the logout is completely done. Now you have to redirect the user to a login page. Okay. So for that, you can copy this much from here and paste it here and give a semicolon. You don't need to pass any message because we simply are logging out a user. Okay. So that's all. Our logout part is also done. But we have to give a route for the logout. So go to web.php inside the routes. Hope you understand the location of all this, where the routes are present and where the views are present. Inside the resources, you can see views, and where the model is there. You can see inside the app folder. Inside that, you can see the model. And inside the app folder, you can see HTTP, and inside that you can see controllers. Hope you understand the folders, how the folders are kept inside Laravel. Okay, now you can go to the web.php routes, and you can add the route for logout. So let's go to the bottom last line and create a route. We are using a get request, and you can give /logout. And here we are accessing the auth manager class, that is auth manager, and we are calling the function logout. We already have created the function. Okay, now you can also give a name for this route. We are always giving name for the routes, so we can access it from anywhere. Logout and give a semicolon. That's all. So all our routes are ready, and you can also change this from here if you want to. Let's keep it here, no problem, because we will not be doing anything on the home section. We will not be designing the home. We will simply have to return the view. That's all. We'll change the view later on. Okay, now our logout is also complete. Now we can test all this. Okay, for that you can open the browser. So I have opened the registration page inside the browser. Okay, let's fill some details on the registration and try to register a user. I have inserted the details, full name, email, and password. Now let's click on submit. Okay, you can see the full name is showing that it is a email. So let's go to the blade part of the registration. And here you can see the type for the name, that is email. So change it to text. And that's all. That was the error. Okay, now I have again inserted the values. Now let's try submitting it. Okay, you can see the registration was successful and we are redirected to the login part. Since we are not displaying the messages, the success and error messages, we have to display the success and error messages by ourselves. Okay, and we are not doing that on the part, that is the blade part. We will do that. So you can see the registration is successful. Okay, let's go to the phpMyAdmin and check the table, and you can see the user, right? We have inserted the name, email, and password. That's all. Password is encrypted. Okay, that's it. So the registration is successful. Now let's show the error messages and the success messages. For that, open the PHP Storm. So you can see I am on the registration blade part. Okay, we are having the form here. So before the form, out here on the container, we can create a div and give a class name, and let's add a margin to the top, margin top 5. Okay, now inside this we can show the error messages and the success messages, and you can create a better UI. I am not concentrating on the UI part. You can design a UI properly. So this is not the UI part that I'm showing. I'm showing the Laravel registration part. Okay, now you can check the error messages like @if, and inside that you can check $errors. Okay, and you can check if any errors are present. For that you can access the function, that is any. Now this will check if there are any errors. Okay, if there is any error, it will come inside this function. And let's close the if condition, that is @end if. Now this is the syntax for the blade. Okay, so this is a bit different. That is, you simply have to use an @. That's all. You can check the Laravel documentation to understand more about that. It's very simple. You simply have to add an @ and you can access PHP like this. Okay, now inside this we have to create a div, and we can call it class, give a class like call 12. This is bootstrap. You can check the bootstrap to understand that. So this is column with the maximum width. That's all. The inside the errors variable, we are having more than one errors. So we have to loop through the errors and print them. So for that, for each, now we are having $errors all. Okay, we are getting all the errors. This is an array. Okay, as dollar error, and you can end the for each like at end for each. Okay, now inside the for each you can print the error. So for that you can create a div and you can give a class that is alert. So this is bootstrap. If you don't understand this, you can simply follow along and you can see what it does. And alert, you can use alert danger. Now this will give a red color, that's all. Okay, now inside that you can print the message that is dollar error. So here we have displayed all the error messages and we haven't done the displaying part of these error messages. Okay, these are custom error messages that we pass. So for that we have to do something like this. These are automatic ones. Okay, these are the ones that Laravel passes and we are going to print that. That's all. So the ones that we create are these one. Okay, with and with the key. So these ones. Okay, the success message and error message, etc. So in order to display this, we have to write another one that is at if. So these are sessions. Okay, so we are going to check session and we are going to check has. Okay, has session dot has errors. Okay, not dollar, it's simply error. Okay, so this is the key that we are using here. Okay, now here we are checking if the session is having something with the key error. Okay, now we can end the if condition. Okay, inside this you can format the code. Inside PHP Storm you can simply click Ctrl Alt L. That's all. So inside VS Code it will be having a different way of formatting the code, so you can check that online. Okay, now inside this we will be printing the error message. That's all. So for that you can copy this line from here and you can change this variable and you have to print the session, that is session. Inside that you have to give the key, that is error. Okay, that's all. Now here we are printing the error message. Now we can print the success message just like this. So you can copy this from here and paste it here, format the code. Yes, now you have to change the has error to has success. So we are checking the key success and here we are going to print the key success and change the alert danger to alert success. Okay, these are the bootstrap classes. You have to check bootstrap for that. Okay, now that's it. So we are printing all the error messages here. So you can copy this from here, this much, the margin top and this much. Copy this much from here and you can paste that on login as well, because we need to show the error message on login as well, right? Okay, now you can paste it here and that's all. So this will show all the error messages on login and registration. So let's try running it. Okay, now here we are inside the login form. So let's try submitting it without doing anything, without inserting any value. We can see the error messages. These are the error messages that Laravel sent because we are using the validate function. Okay, so hope you understand that. So if you want to know which part of the line is being executed for these error messages, I will show you on the code. You can see this much line. Okay, this line, this much line. I think it is for 5 lines. So this line is getting executed. Okay, and inside this we are having 2 errors. That's why we are getting 2 alert messages. Okay, so hope you understand that. These ones are not getting executed. Okay, this is the one that is showing the error messages right now. Okay, so let's go to the browser. Okay, you can see the error messages. Now let's insert some dummy value. You can see I'm already having a value. Let's submit this. Okay, you can see login details are not valid. Now this is the session message that we have passed custom. Okay, custom session message that we have passed from the auth manager controller. Okay, so that is also working. Now let's try logging in with actual details. Okay, so we have already created a user with the email support@codecc.com. Okay, hope you remember that. And let's try logging in that user. Okay, let's submit it. Okay, now you can see that we have successfully logged in and it is opening the home page. Now we have to redesign the home page. Let's redesign that and add a logout button. Okay, so go to the PHP Storm and you can go to the welcome.blade.php inside the views folder. Okay, let's remove everything from here. Control A, backspace, and we have to extend our layout. That is at extend. And you have to give the name of the layout, that is layout. That's all. And now we can give a title. Okay, for that at session, and the key name is title. So give the key name and now pass the title. Okay, let's give the title like a homepage. You can give any title. Okay, now we have to start the session for content. Since the content is much longer than one line, you have to end the section like this, at end section. Okay, now inside this you can actually print anything. Okay, so we'll be printing the user. So let's try printing the user, logged in user. Okay, we'll be printing the logged in user. For that you can use a function auth hyphen, you can call user. Okay, now this will print the logged in user. Okay, let's go and try refreshing. Let's try refreshing this page. Now you can see, since we are logged in, we can see the details of the user, ID, name, email, and all those things. This is the created at, updated at, dates. Okay, so you can see all those details as a JSON format. Okay, hope you understand that. You can access all the user details like this. Now if you want to access the name of the user, so you can do like add a hyphen here and you can give name. Now this will only print the name, that's all. And you can see we are having the name here. Let's try refreshing it. So see, it is only printing the name. I will zoom it for you. You can see the name, right? Let's zoom out. Okay, hope you can see it properly. Okay, now we have to change the navigation bar. Okay, you can give the name of the app here, and let's give the login and logout registration links here in this part. Okay, for that you can go to the include header.play.php and you can see this line here, right? You have to remove that and you can call config. Okay, since we are using the blade, you have to use these brackets and inside that you can call config. This is a function and inside that you can pass app.name. Now I will explain this. Now this config function will point you to this config folder. Okay, and this app will point you to this app.php file, and inside that you can see name, right? And it is pointing you to environment and with the name app name. I will show you that. So here this will access the thing, that is this variable inside this. Okay, this is a configuration for the, you can access this name like this from the configuration like this. Okay, I will show what is actually the value. So for that you can go to the environment. Okay, so if you are not having any value inside the environment variable, this variable, it will automatically show a default value, that is this. You can change this value as your wish. Okay, now go to the .env file and you can see app name, right? So you can change the name here. So if you are having any space and all, you can use double quotes. Okay, like this. And inside that you can give the name. Okay, I have given the name for the app. Now you can go to the header. We will refresh the page later. Let's do all the other parts. So now we have to show the login, registration and logout links. So for that, go to here, space and login, and we have to show the registration. To access the login link, you have to come to this href and change this to, you have to call the route. Okay, route, and give the name of the route. Simple, that's all. Login, we have named the route. Hope you remember the naming. Okay, now you can access the registration just like this, route, registration. Okay, that's all. So we are having the login and registration linked properly. Now you can copy this and you can paste it here and change the name to logout and change this text to logout. Okay, now let's go and refresh the page. So here you can see an error message. It is saying that there's no property name, and you can see it is showing the error to this line, right? You remember the home page. So let's go to PHP Storm, and you can come to the welcome.play.php and remove this, because we cannot access it simply like this. If we have to check if the value is present or not. Right now I think we have logged out from the app, so that's why it is showing something like that. Okay, we can remove it from here and let's try running it. Okay, let's refresh this page. You can see the login, registration and logout links are working, right? And also you can see the name of the app, right? Okay, so let's try logging in once more. So I have inserted the details. Okay, this is the user details that I have created earlier. Hope you remember that. Okay, now let's submit it. Now you can see the login is successful. So let's try printing the username once more. For that, come to welcome.play.php and you can print the name here. Okay, so for printing the name, okay, so now we are printing the name. Let's try refreshing the page. Now you can see the name is present properly. Now if you try to log out and try to access this page, you will see the error message that you saw before. So let's try logging out. Now we have logged out from the page, right? Now we can try accessing the home page. For that, just remove this login and try hitting enter. See, now you can see the error message, the same error message, because we are not logged in right now and we are trying to access the values that will only be getting set when the user is logged in. Okay, this will only work when the user is logged in. Okay, this auth user will store the details of the user that is currently logged in. Hope you understand that. So for that, you can actually do something like this. So at auth, you can use at auth and you can use at end auth. This will check if the user is authorized, then it will only show this name. Otherwise, it will not execute this line. Okay, now let's try running this. So you can refresh this page right now and you can see it is working without any problem, right? Let's try logging in once more. Okay, I have entered the details and let's try submitting it. Now you can see the name is printing properly, right? So we are logged in and now we can see the name. So if we are clicking the logout, the name will not be present. That's all. Okay, now we can also do one thing, that is, if we are logged in, we don't have to show these two links, right? For that, you can do the same technique that I have done in the home page on the navigation part, that is the header.play.php part. Okay, so for that, go to header.play.php and you can come here. So here you can type at auth, and if the user, you can remove this brackets. Okay, if the user is authorized, that is if the user is logged in, you can show the logout link. Okay, so let's copy it from here, cut it from here and paste it here. Okay, and you can also type at else auth. Okay, And at the end you can type at end auth. Okay, let's format the code. Yes, that's all. Now if the user is logged in, it will only show the logout link. Okay, and if the user is not logged in, we will show the login and registration links. Okay, now let's try refreshing the page. You can see the login and registration page is gone, and we are only having one, that is logout. Okay, we can change the name from here and we can show it here. Okay, for that you can come to welcome.play.php and you can copy this much, cut this from here. Okay, and you can paste it here. That's all. You can format the code. Okay, let's change it to one single line because, okay, like that. Okay, now you can see we are using else auth. Okay, we can change this to else. Now you can see if the user is authorized, it will show this, and if he is not, it will show this. Okay, now this is the way to write it. Okay, should not use else auth. Okay, now let's try refreshing the page, and you can see login and registration, and that means that the user is not logged in. Okay, let's try logging in. Okay, you can see that I have logged in. So you can see the name here and the logout option here. Okay, that's it. Now hope you understand this much. So now if you try to access the login page once more, it will open it. Let's try it. See, now it is opening the login page again, and that should not happen, right? So for that you can go to the controller auth manager, and you can come to here inside the login. Here you can check if auth of check. Okay, and if the user is logged in, we have to return the user to the home page. So for that you can redirect the user. You can copy this link and yes, paste it here, and the route name is home. Okay, and we are not having any messages, so you can remove this. Okay, that's all. Okay, now this will check if the user is logged in. We cannot access the login page, so you can do the same for registration as well. Okay, now let's try refreshing the page. So let's refresh this page. See, we are automatically redirected to the home page. See, now if you try to access the login page again, you can see we are getting redirected, right? So let's try accessing registration. See, we are again getting redirected. So let's try logging out. See, now we can access login and registration. See, that's all. So we have done the login and registration with Laravel. Okay, so hope you understand. Now that's all with the login and registration part in Laravel. Now, if you want to create a new route, let's say for profile, so you can do something like this. Okay, so you can create a route. Let's create a get slash profile. And for now, let's return a function. Let's return something like hi or something. Now you can see that we are having a route slash profile, and we should only be able to access this slash profile when the user is logged in. Otherwise, we should not access the slash profile route. So let's try accessing it right now. So inside the browser, you can see, let's type slash profile. Okay, now you can see the hi message, right? And right now we are not logged in. You can see that we are not logged in. See? And we can access the slash profile page, right? So that is not good. So we can remove it, like go to the PHP Storm and you can do something like this. Okay, create a route group and you can mention a middleware. Now here we are actually checking if the user is logged in or not. That's what this middleware is doing. Okay. And you can give a comma and pass a function. Now what you have to do is you have to cut this route from here and paste it inside this route group. Okay. So whenever you need a route that should be accessed by someone who is only logged in, you can do the route inside this route group. Okay. So that's all. So you can do whatever things that a logged in user can access inside this route group. And that's all. So hope you understand that part also. So let's try accessing it once more. Okay. Right now we are not logged in. Okay. You can see that. Okay. Now let's type /profile. Okay. Let's hit enter. And now you can see that we got redirected to login. See? Let's try accessing it from registration page. So you can see that. See, I'm going to hit enter. See, now we are redirected to the login page. Okay, now hope you understand. So if you are logged in, we can access the /profile. I will show you that also. Okay, now let's log in. See, now you can access the profile page. You can see that. Okay. Okay. Now you can access the home page. That's all. You can also access the profile page. Okay, now you can log out. So that's all. So that's all with the login and registration part in Laravel. If you want the full source code for this project, you can come to this URL. I will give the link on the description. You can check that out and you can download the source code from here. So hope you understand this. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more such videos.